Though this is not what we normally recommend to be doing during the homily, if you happen to have the bulletin, if you could pull it out and look at the front cover there, you notice that things have changed a little bit, and we've been focusing on one of those changes in the bulletin, and that is our mission statement, which is there in the middle at the bottom, in which we kind of condensed it, the previous version, and distilled the three things that we really want to focus on as a parish. And that is not just for us to maintain, the status quo, but rather to reach out, right? So we have a true sense of our identity, it's very clear, and we are focused on not just maintaining how things are, but moving out, right? Now, some of these empty seats are probably because people didn't get up on time, and that's understandable for today. But what about all the empty seats because someone hasn't invited them? Because someone just needs to have that conversation with somebody in order to have their questions answered about the faith. Or maybe they're going through a really tough time. And the question that we can pose ourselves is, what am I going to do about it? What is God asking of me so that this place and all churches are packed? That, this could be standing room only. And it's not. For whatever reason, right? We don't know all the reasons. But could it be something that I can do something about that? And there in the mission statement, it goes to the heart of what that is all about. And that is, we are here for loving God. We're here for serving others, right? We can't have one without the other. St. James said that, how could you love an invisible God when you don't love the person that you do see? And lastly, which we're focusing on today, is forming disciples in Jesus Christ in his holy church. And that forming disciples, that's kind of a loaded phrase, right? Like, what does all that mean, to be a disciple? Well, as you can see in Lent, we are with Jesus out there in the desert, right? A lot of things are deprived of us, even here in the liturgy, right? We didn't sing the Gloria. We will have silence at the end of Mass instead of a recessional hymn, right? To kind of leave the church in a more somber, solemn way, and to kind of carry that, significance of being in Lent. And what does that ask of me? What does that ask of us as a church? What do we need to change? What do we need to work on? Because when we're out in the desert, right, there's not as many distractions. It's harsher reality, right? It's as I was mentioning with the little kids, it's hot during the day and it's cold at night. There's not a lot of water. And if we are spiritually out in the desert, where do we go to? What becomes the most important? Where do our priorities go? And we can check ourselves as to where our priorities have been. In regards to being formed as disciples of Jesus Christ, this is an opportunity to be renewed in that. To be able to say, yes, I choose you, Jesus. I choose your will for me. And if I don't know your will for me, I'm going to search for it. I'm going to look for it. I'm going to learn from you. That's what the word disciple means, a student. I'm going to learn from you, the master, the teacher. Because I know I don't have all the answers. I know that I don't have all the words to say to that person that I may reach out to, who hasn't been to Mass in a long time or has those questions about the faith that I know. I'm not going to have everything figured out. But that's why I'm a student. That's why I'm a disciple. And so we want to be renewed in this discipleship, right? We want to figure out, what does God ask of me? And to have the courage to do it, right? It's one thing to know it, but then it's another thing to execute. And that takes the Holy Spirit, right? as the Holy Spirit, as it says, led him out into the desert, led him through these temptations, led him through this deprivation, led him through the lack of distractions, will lead us to the desert and lead us to see what do we need to work on as a person, individual, as a family, as a church community. And we could go in many different directions with that. And all of us are going to go, with our own particular sacrifices or our charitable works, our ways of tithing, our ways of giving towards others. We're all going to have our individual path, but three options that we wanted to kind of highlight, you could say, to take notice of is first, what we've been talking about since I think around Advent is when we launched the Hallow app, partnering with them. We were one of the highest percentage of local Catholic who were asking for our church, our parish, to do a partnership with Hallow. So they reached out to us. This is not us trying to, make money off of this. It's not that. It's about spiritual nourishment, about using this app to pray with the various options to pray. And if it's overwhelming, then you just look for what we're offering here at the Cathedral. And there's a free version to it, and you don't have to get into the cost of it. It's really about having a tool always available, right? That maybe we can be distracted from our distractions with something else, right? Because it's one thing to deprive ourselves of something, but we got to fill it, right? We can't just have this void in our life where I'm going to say I'm going to give up social media, or I'm going to give up something else. What am I going to do instead is the question that we really should be asking. And here, there's an option, right, that's readily available. There's also, the opportunity that we offer several times a year in which we have basically a low bar, a low entry into the Catholic Church where people can come and ask their questions. And maybe some of us even have questions, even if we've been here for a long time. On Sunday evenings for a series of weeks, we offer the Alpha course. Alpha being chosen because it's the beginning of the Greek alphabet. Alpha, beta, gamma, remember that from college? And we want to go back to the beginning, some of those essential questions, and to be able to ask them in a non-pressure sort of way. And it's a great place for someone who hasn't been to church in a long time, or somebody who is interested in the Catholic faith and is a little bit skeptical and wants to do it in a small group setting, right? You're divided up into different small groups in order to have a casual conversation, have some discussion, and be fed, right? To be fed in whatever point in their path they are, whatever point in your path, may you be fed. And lastly, as you'll see going out the Heman Hall exit at the end of Mass, especially with the Knights of Columbus breakfast that our American Heritage girls are working hard on this morning as well. And there you'll see set up some posters featuring what we're eventually going to have is a full-time welcome desk there, especially after the 9 and 11:30 Masses. And this, again, is us reaching out to those who maybe this is the first time coming to the Cathedral, or maybe they have questions about getting their kid baptized, or maybe you have questions about the faith, maybe you have questions about the stained glass windows. You want to know, what is all this stuff in here all about? There's many times, we're not going to take the time to go to the office during the week when it's open, but here, as it were, the church is coming to you, right? The church leadership, at least. And it's good to be welcomed, right? Sometimes that's the simplest thing that's needed for somebody to feel like, I want to come back, is because I feel welcomed. Not just that I heard the words welcome, but that I feel welcomed. And of course, it's not just up to them. right? Those couple people out there to welcome them. It's up to all of us. It's up to all of us to fill these pews. It's up to all of us so that people want to come back, that they do really feel welcomed here at the cathedral. Let's ask God for this gift of Lent, which is really a great gift. Let's ask that we may grow deeper in our discipleship, that we may know the Lord, know his will for us, and have the courage to do it.